What's up, everybody? It's your girl, WinsomeDiva, and it's official. Next week starts the first episode of my show, The Corner, that you can check out right here on YouTube. Even though the show starts next week, I got a special treat. Last week, I got a chance to catch it up and chop it up with my girl, Toya Wright. Everybody knows Toya. Either you know her from her famous show, Tiny and Toya, or her recent show, Toya's Family Affair. Well, yeah, I got to chop it up with the girl, learn a little bit more about her, and get to know her. And believe me, she's a total sweetheart. Here's the interview. Check it out.
Ooh, I saw your pretty ass just as soon as you stepped in the club. I was like, ooh, looking so good. I just had to know who you was. Shouted you better than the motherfucker. I want you better than the motherfuckers. Shouted you better than the motherfucker. I want you better than the motherfuckers.
How was it putting your emotions and feelings into priceless inspirations?
It was tough just reliving most of those situations, having to go back into that point, that point of my life where things wasn't as good, where I had like a lot of heavy feelings, like even dealing with the domestic violence chapter, losing my very close friend and, losing my uncle who raised me and, just to talk about that stuff all over again and to write it and whatever. It was very, very, tough for me to do. But I've always kept a journal, and that was just, was the way that I expressed myself, and I just decided to turn my journal into a book.
Okay. Now let me ask you, what impacts do you think writing your book has on young women? Because let me say, I'm young, I'm 17, and I read the book, and reading the book, it really made me think about some things. I even deleted some people out of my life reading this book.
Well, I get that a lot. Like, a lot of people tell me, they feel like my book, they feel like I'm speaking directly to them and talking to them, and it helps them through, a lot of situations that they may be going through. It encourages them and inspires them to do, more with their lives and cut, the people that don't mean them well off. So I get that all the time, and it really, really makes me feel good to hear those things, that sharing my own personal life story can help touch and inspire others is always a great feeling, and it's also a blessing.
Okay. It really did help. So, right around the time that you released your book, you also had your new show, Toya's Family Affair, appear. Now, I know that previously you were on Tiny and Toya. Now, after doing Tiny and Toya, what made you want to come back and do reality again?
Because people just started asking me, when am I going to come back? We want to see more of you. And then I decided to get with the network, and it was like, you should do your own show. So I just was, I was up for it or whatever. I talked it over with my family, and everybody was like, they cool with it. So we just decided to keep it going.
Okay. Yeah, it was a really great show. Now, were you ever recording the show, did you ever think of how people would perceive you and your family?
Well, I did briefly for a minute, but I feel like people are going to talk whether you're doing good or bad, and there is no such thing as perfect, and I don't try to be perfect. I just try to be me, and that's Toya, and I'm not a very negative person, so I seem not, I don't like to focus too much on the negative things that people say about me or my family or whatever. I knew it was a positive message behind it, and it was about growth. So, and we let the whole world see that we have issues and we've grown, we're growing and we're trying to do better by ourselves or whatever. So that's what it's always about.
Okay. Now, I know we were talking previously before the interview, and you were saying you were at your clothing store. Now, what gave you the idea to open up your clothing store?
Garb, my clothing store Garb has been open for a year. What inspired me to open my store is just my love for fashion. Like, I always, was a big shopper, and I love putting things together and helping people, get dressed and different things like that for different occasions. And years ago, when I was a very, very young girl, maybe 15, 16, I always wanted my own clothing store, but didn't have the finances, and I didn't know too much about opening a business or whatever. Like, when I turned 18 or whatever, I was like, I'm not really financially stable to do this, and I don't have the knowledge on running the business. But as I got older, things changed. I was like, I'm going to open me a store or whatever, and I went for it.
Okay. I see that you're a woman that you like to set goals. Now, when you set goals, how high do you feel that you need to achieve those?
When I set goals for myself, I feel like it's very important to accomplish my goals, because I have a daughter, and my daughter she motivates me. Like I say I want to do something, I want my daughter to see that I make things that I say I want to do happen. So she's my motivation. Like, she gives me that extra push. I'm like, she heard me speak about this. This is something I want to do, and I always tell her to dream big, and always, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. So I just want to, be an example to her or whatever. And she always heard me talking about owning my own clothing store, always heard me talking about writing my book, and other different things that I'm trying to get into, and I'm trying to slowly make those things happen, and let her know that, the things that my mom, even her dad, he sets, different goals for himself, and he, accomplished those goals. So my daughter believes that anything she put her mind to, she could do it.
Okay, now talking about your daughter, now how is your relationship with her?
My relationship with my daughter is great. She's like my best friend. We talk about every not everything, but things mother and daughter talks about. Like, I'm like her. If she having issues at school or whatever the case may be, I'm always her ear, And then when I'm having a bad day, I don't quite get too deep, because I'm the mother, she the daughter, but we kind of grew up together. I had my daughter at a very young age, and she was there for me when nobody was not there, when everybody was kind of walking out my life and things wasn't as good. My daughter was there. So we have that bond and that relationship, and my daughter is very wise beyond her years, and she's smart, and so we very tight and very, very cool. And I think it's good to have that kind of relationship with your kids, because nowadays kids hide a lot from you, and they're afraid to have an open relationship with their parents when they get around different people with the peer pressure and different things like that. If they're afraid to tell their mom and their dad, then it's like that's when you get a lot of kids that's getting pressured into doing things they don't want to do, or you start having those problems.
Yes, I can definitely agree to that, because you always need someone to talk to, and if your parents not there to talk to, then find somebody else to talk to that you can express your feelings to.
Exactly.
Okay, now recently I saw all of the beautiful pictures from your wedding. Let me say, they looked amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I know that you've been married for a couple months now. Now, how is the married life? Oh, I know that this is your second marriage, so how is the married life now?
It's really, really going good. I have a great husband. Like, he's very family-oriented. He's everything I ever wanted in a man. We're best friends first. We were friends before we even were dating or whatever. So your relationship is just continuing to grow. And I feel like as long as you have that bond and that, that nobody could come through, and you have that understanding, that level of understanding, everything is all good, and it's continuing to get better. Although no marriage is perfect, there is no such thing. Everybody have their ups and downs, but as long as you're able to talk it over and, make sure things are better at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And that's how me and my husband, we always communicate. We have a great communication. Like, we communicate about everything, and we're very supportive of each other, and that's one thing I love about him.
That's beautiful. I love to hear great couples like that. Definitely when you guys are in the entertainment and it's a lot going on, I love to hear stuff like that.
Oh, thank you.
I have a little tear. But another thing I want to talk to, so the topic that we're discussing this week is Miss Independent and Miss Dependent. And basically what that means is some people look at some people and they say, well, they're dependent upon this person or this, or maybe they're too independent. Now, what would you say that your definition of an independent woman would be?
The independent woman is one who can hold her own no matter what, the situation may be. Like, for the longest, like, I was a dependent. Like, I was dependent on someone to make things happen for me, and I had to get out of that, the whole shadow of someone else and just being comfortable or whatever. Just raising my daughter, I wanted to kind of step out and be independent, like stand on my own two feet. Like, no matter who, who's able to provide for me or what the situation may be, I wanted to provide for me. So that's the definition to me of an independent woman, is one that can hold her own no matter what. His or her own no matter what.
Beautiful. That's what I say. An independent woman is someone who wants to provide for herself. And all the time, someone may be dependent, but they want to be independent.
Right. I agree.
Definitely. So,
I agree with that.
I'm jumping around with a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I'm going to go back to Pisces Inspirations just for a second. Now, what was your main goal that you wanted to achieve from writing the book?
My main goal is to get, to kind of get my story out there, because it's hard, being that I have my television show and people are, which, that's the way I was introduced to the world or whatever, by being associated with someone like my ex-husband, but people didn't, they felt as though, they didn't really quite know our story and my story, about me. They just automatically assume some people, I was some groupie or whatever. I went through things too, and, there's a lot of things that I've been through in my life that I, just decided to open up and help, other girls know that you're not alone. I've been where you are, and it just kind of inspire and, just have your own, because that's very important, and love yourself was my main, point of writing my book, to let other women know that.
Yes, definitely, because reading this book, I felt like I learned a lot more about you and watching the show and things like that, and it gave a good impression on me, so I encourage other people to go out and buy the book and everything.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And that's about it. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk to you about. So basically, is there any other things that you have going on right now?
Yeah, I'm about to start traveling with my college tour. I'm going on a college tour October the 1st. It's called Toya on Campus, and I'm going to be going to a lot of different schools or whatever, just doing a book talk, about my book and other things, talk about my whole Garvey movement. The Garveys are women who are finding themselves when it seems impossible, loving themselves when they feel no one else does. So I'm just spreading that word about, being a Garvey or whatever. And what else do I have going on? Well, of course, I'm going to keep my show going. We don't quite have a date yet, but we are going to come back. And focus, helping my daughter focus on her music career. She's about to get in the studio with her dad, so 100% supportive of her as well.
Better than the motherfucker. Better than the
Is it the way I walk or the way my dress fitting? He like my tattoos, love the way this thing fit. Is it my smile? He say my face so pretty. Said I'm the one that he's been trying to get with. Is it my attitude? He know I'm independent. He know I'm bout it. He know I get it.